All right, so we're back with Katie Hart of Big Orange Productions. We had some technical difficult issues with Facebook, but nonetheless, we've worked through it and we are here. And we're going to get this pop-up interview done and provide you guys with insight and feedback because that's what it's all about in the EXP Elite Group. So without further ado, Katie, thank you for joining us for the second time again. And let's just go ahead and start from the top. So we have a great video and something that people can latch onto and just use, as EXP. So describe your journey as an EXP.
My journey in the industry started about 12 years ago. I was a student in college and I was just looking for just something to do on the side. I didn't know what that exactly would be. So I was looking at job boards and I came across an ad for brand ambassador work, which was just perfect, I would say, as a college student, really for anyone. But the fact that it was independent contractor work and I could fit it into my schedule as I see fit, I could, work when and where I wanted, it was just super. So that's how I started on the brand ambassador side of things, and I continued to do that through college. And then after college, I graduated, moved back to Rhode Island, and I would say probably within a week of being back home, I was back on the job boards looking for now a career, and I had noticed that Big Orange Productions, which is one of the agencies I had worked with on the promotion side, was hiring a full-time booking agent in their office, which happened to be about half an hour away from where I lived. So I jumped on that. I sent in my resume. This was a job I really wanted at that time. So probably about 3 to 4 weeks went by and I hadn't heard anything back. I reached out again and it had just so happened that they hired somebody else in the interim. And on the day that I had reached back out to follow up, that person decided that the industry just wasn't for them at all. And they decided to just look elsewhere. So the position as of that morning was back open and they said, okay, can you come in right now? Let's meet. Dropped everything, went to their office, had the interview, and that was 12 years ago.
And here you are now,
yes.
as an account director, account manager for Big Orange. And you mentioned MySpace in the previous interview, but talk a little bit about that. Did you know what experiential marketing was at the time, like the term and what you were actually doing when you were executing these events?
I did know the term only because I did a little bit of modeling work as well with an agency in Boston, and one of their categories was promotions. It wasn't something that they were really tapped into very much, but I knew what it was. If I hadn't been doing that, I probably would have no idea what it was.
Right.
And the industry has really grown since then by leaps and bounds. So the industry 12 years ago is very different than the industry now.
Yeah. And how have you been able to transition from once brand ambassador, promotional model to now, working and heading a lot of the projects that come through for one of the top, agencies in the experiential marketing industry? How has that transition been for you?
It has been quite the transition. I put in a lot of years as a booking agent, and being so fully invested in selecting the people who are the best fit for the jobs. That's one thing that is really important to point out is that even with enhanced technology now, where people they have their portal accounts online and they can apply for what they're interested in, and they receive either email communication or whatnot back. We are real people, and there are booking agents who are hand selecting the best individuals for the jobs. So it is still very much a human process. So I was involved in that for a long time, and then the opportunity became involved to move up into the management position, and it was just perfect timing, and it was a no-brainer to go ahead and do that.
And let's talk a little bit about that process as a booking coordinator, because when you explain it like that, it's a huge undertaking. To the fact that Big Orange takes the time to hand select every EXP for an event.
Every single.
Yeah, and the day in the life of a booking coordinator? I know you're no longer there yet, but I'm sure you train and you work with some of the best booking coordinators and show them, the ropes and what you learn. How is that process for them, and what should they, or what are they taught to look for when they're hiring an EXP for an event?
So, really great qualities that we look for. This is such a great question. I'm so glad that people will be watching this and hopefully take something back. But some of the biggest qualities that we really look for in our brand ambassadors are, of course, their personality, their ability to effectively communicate with people. You know, whether it's us, you know, whether it's out in the field, we're just looking for really great communicators. You know, people who have a friendly smile. Because at the end of the day, the work isn't hard. We're not performing surgery. We're just
Right.
we're putting a smile on our face, hopefully a smile on somebody else's face, and hopefully making a really great impression on that person for the brand that we're promoting. So,
And talk about, sorry to interrupt, the client, like your clients as well, right? Because you have a client that hired you to execute that event and to hire the best brand ambassador.
yes.
So just making sure that you stay in great graces with everybody while
Mhm.
keeping consumers happy.
Yes, and we are fortunate to have a phenomenal team of people here in our office. We have the booking agents who are really the main point of contacts for all of the talent, who are the ones who are building the relationships with those people, and who are, you know, the reason why these people come back and work for us over and over again. We also have people who are dedicated to dealing with clients. So everyone's kind of in their own little wheelhouse, but all the parts go together to make this crazy machine work.
And then I've worked for Big Orange in the past as a brand ambassador and just doing demos. And true story, my mom works in this industry. So I want to touch on that a little bit because you guys cover a great demographic of brand ambassadors that can work for you based on the type of events that you have. Is there a age range that you typically look for, or based on the type of events that you have, does it vary?
Well, our age minimum is 18 years old to work for us. So at minimum, you have to be 18. Aside from that, no, it's really such a wide range. We have people in almost every decade working for us. It does depend on what our clients' needs are. So if a client comes to us looking for, you know, a certain type of profile, then we would go with that. But it is quite the range.
Wow. And do you see, based on your experience, someone asked this question, do you see that if they're older or they're more experienced, are they more keen on being on time, making sure that they, do the event recaps? Does age play a factor in the success rate of a actual event, or it doesn't?
Not even a little bit at all. No, I haven't seen any correlation to that.
That's good. That's good insight because people ask all the time, do you have to be a certain age? Do you have to have a certain look? And am I not chosen or being presented more opportunities because of that? So thank you for highlighting that point, and emphasizing the fact that you don't have to meet a certain criteria to, obtain opportunities as a brand ambassador.
Yeah, like I said before, and I'll emphasize it again, one of the biggest deciding factors for us when selecting talent is, of course, you know, their energy and their personality. Aside from that, also, you know, how well they do on a gig-to-gig basis. So there are some markets that are absolutely saturated. We have a lot of people who are applying to work the same events, and there is quite a bit of competition. So what I can say on that is, if you are looking to, you know, really be a team player and work for us quite a bit, when you're given those opportunities, knock it out of the park because we will remember you. You know, be a great communicator, get your paperwork back in time to us. All of those little things will make you stand out to the other people, so that when we are selecting candidates for a job, we can base it on your history with us thus far.
And do you keep in your portal once someone signs up? Is there like a recap area? Because Joe touched on this with Assist Marketing. They have a way to go in the back end, their account managers, and actually rate VAs. Do you do the same, or do booking coordinators make notes in a person's profile?
We don't have a rating system, but yeah, we'll jot down notes when we get client feedback. That is what is the most valuable for us, because we're here in Rhode Island. We have people working all over the country, so we're not out there at their events, you know, supervising them, if you will. So the feedback is great for us. And if we do receive great feedback or even not so great feedback, we will log that. And you know, we'll go from there. There are markets where the competition is a lot heavier than other markets, so it's really important to choose the best person in those markets.
Okay. So, as an associate manager of operations, we talked about booking coordinators and the job that they have to do to make sure that they hire the best brand ambassador for an event. Take us in a day in the life of your job responsibilities. Like, how does your day look?
So it's so funny because every single morning I don't know. So I come in every day, I start my day with a cup of coffee, I look through my emails, and then it's really playing every single day by ear because
Wow.
every day is so different. You know, there's always the tasks that you're going to do every day, and you have a general idea of what to expect.
Right.
But it's a matter of wearing a lot of hats as well. So I'm not just focused on the operations, but I'm doing a lot of different areas as well. And I think that probably is the case with most of our employees. We all have a pretty good grasp on what each other does, and we can jump in to help if needed. So I would really say every day is kind of like a mystery, which makes the industry very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm never bored.
And does Big Orange, someone asks, does Big Orange only hire brand ambassadors? Do you hire for other types of events and programs as well?
We do. We cover pretty much the entire promotional industry. So we do in-store demonstrations, wine, beer, and spirits tastings on and off premise, trade shows, special events. Yeah, costume characters. I think we've touched pretty much all of it.
And that's great. And is there one that's easiest or hardest to staff?
I would say that what is usually the biggest, not struggle, but would really depend on that is geography over what type of event it is.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, when we're working nationwide, some of the, big markets are easier than others, but some of those really rural towns, we have to put heavier recruiting into, and it might be a little tougher to staff.
Yeah, and I get those alerts like, hey, last minute booking or last minute change.
Yeah.
Will provide you with an incentive to travel. So, it's important that you guys do that and that people understand, as brand ambassadors and EXPs, that a lot of times, those events do come up last minute and things change in the industry. So, not only is it an opportunity for a brand ambassador, but you also have to look at the flip side and the fact that you guys are now booking coordinators are now scrambling and working hard, days before, even hours leading up to an event to make sure they have an event fully staffed.
Absolutely.
So it can get pretty crazy at times, I'm assuming,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And with the holidays approaching, is it busier now?
It is. Yep, this is generally our busy time. These last few months of the years, a lot of campaigns are coming up for the holidays. We start preparing for them now. So yeah, we're definitely in it right now. But we have noticed over the years that there really isn't that much of a slow period anymore for us. It's kind of just steadied out here, which is great as well. But definitely a spike around pretty much any holiday.
Wow. Okay. And as far as staffing and booking coordinators working to hire brand ambassadors, we touched on the qualities, communication, being able to effectively bring that smile and just be professional while executing an event. As far as resume, if someone is new to the experiential marketing industry and they may not have the amount of experience, to show that they've executed a lot of events as a brand ambassador or worked demos. What do you look for on a resume to qualify someone and ultimately book them for that opportunity or within Big Orange?
Yeah, so resumes are great. If we see that you have promotional experience already on your resume, that's fantastic. We don't have to, go through the whole thing. But I will say on resumes that it's really not the deciding factor sometimes because there are just qualities about a brand ambassador that can't be on paper, that can't be conveyed in a resume. We're really looking for people who have a great personality, who are a great communicator, and who can connect with consumers out in the field. And that might not be something that we can really get an idea of from a resume. So what stands out for us mostly is that introductory period after they've submitted the resume, getting to know them, getting to know their personality, and really deciding at that point if they're, going to be a great fit for the position. So resumes, if you have the experience, fantastic. You're already ahead of the game, but not the deciding factor at the end of the day.
So how do you qualify and get to know them without having a great resume? Like how do you guys do that?
Well, we have someone who is dedicated solely to recruiting.
Wow.
So, yep. So that's what she works on.
Okay. Okay, that's great information. So for all those looking to supplement income or begin a career as an EXP, Katie just told you you don't have to have a resume full of experience yet. Or in general, you can just start and work with Big Orange and develop that resume and then use that, for future opportunities with Big Orange or with other agencies, because there's many agencies out there that hire for
Mhm.
all types of events within the experiential marketing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great information. And I hope EXPs listening take away that key point, because a lot of people that I meet shy away because fear of resume and not having a great resume that adequately depicts their experience as an EXP.
Yeah, I
So,
wouldn't want anyone to get discouraged in that matter. Everyone starts somewhere in an industry, so you have to, you just have to start with one opportunity and go from there. And like I said, you don't have to have a marketing degree to do this kind of work. You really just have to have the personality and a smile.
and someone just wrote a comment on Facebook. Let me pull these up. Um, I'm new to Big Orange as a BA. What is the best way to find top paying events in a region? I get the email blast and have limited success searching on the website. Any suggestions?
So we do have a talent portal which will show events in your area. I'm not sure where where you're located, but some events we do have more opportunities than others. If you are seeing events in your area and you're applying for them and you're not hearing back, I would recommend just shooting us an email and letting us know, like, hey, I'm new. I want to become involved. I'm really interested in the following opportunities. I receive emails daily from people who are applying and who aren't getting selected, and they're saying, what can I do to get selected?
Yeah.
And that shows great initiative to me, that you are taking that step and you're eager and you want to get started. So don't hesitate to shoot us an email. All of our contact information is on the website, and we'll at that point we'll even make a note in your profile so that everyone can see, hey, this is someone who's really interested in working.
Okay.
Yep.
And one person also asked, do you guys foresee switching to direct deposit soon?
Oh my gosh, that is a question we get asked so often. We would love to make it work. So at this time, there isn't a plan for it, but who knows what the future will hold.
Okay. Okay. And then another question I have, how often do you provide jobs in the Southeast region? And if so, how can I ensure that I am constantly booked, which we talked about this,
Yep.
constantly booked for consistent opportunities? Because I've worked with, he said he worked in the past, but he hasn't received the opportunity since that one event, that one event.
Yep. So yeah, shoot. I would say the same thing. Shoot one of us an email. There's management emails on the website. Just shoot anybody an email with your contact information. Let us know where you're located. We'll take a look into your account, make sure that search preferences are set up correctly, so you're receiving alerts, and we can go from there.
And is there a turnaround time that person should expect to receive an email back from someone, or it just varies?
It varies. We try to stay on top of it as much as we can.
Okay. And one person asked, do you look at referrals as a way to hire branding?
Oh, we love referrals.
Okay.
I was actually going to touch on that, so we can touch on it now.
Go ahead.
Referrals are so great because there's already that warm introduction between the agency and the person. I think it's really great for both parties when there's a middleman who has had success. So we love to receive referrals. It's not something we rely on to staff events. It's not a method that we rely on, but we absolutely welcome them. So anyone that you have who's interested in working, if you've had a good relationship with us, feel free to share that with anyone. I think it works out really well for both parties.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's great insight. And I agree with that, because sometimes, and I even now when I manage programs and work with people, good and bad, excuse me, people ask me to refer them for events. And, naturally, the great BAs and the great people that you love working with, you have no problem doing that. But when you are working with some BAs who you may not have been fond of, or you had to repeat things too, it can get in a little gray area there. So just understanding that your name is, like I say all the time, your name is your word. So if you're a quality individual and you're referring someone, naturally you, Katie, or anybody in the office is going to expect that person to bring the same level of personality, intensity, because they're emulating you. So just touch on that about the importance of referring quality brand ambassadors or brand, people to actually execute the event.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're referring someone, I would definitely make sure that it's someone that you know well, that you trust, and that you have no problem being associated to your name. It could be a passerby. It could be someone that you had met at your own promotion, a consumer, and they were interested, so you gave them the information. That's fine as well. But like I said, receiving referrals is always great for us because, yeah, especially if we're receiving it from someone who does a good job with us. It's a warm introductory at that point. It's also really great, I feel, for the brand ambassadors because especially these people who are going out and applying for multiple agencies, they might not know anybody at that agency. There's also that trust factor.
Right.
If you're, receiving a lead from one of your own friends who says, "I work for this agency, I like it, I'm having success with them," then that person's probably more likely to sign up and want to work with us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Big Orange in the history, let's just touch on that for those who don't know. How long has Big Orange been around executing events?
Since 2000.
So 18 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. And then
Mm-hmm.
you being there 12 years,
Mm-hmm.
what have you seen evolve, not only, with the industry, but just Big Orange and being able to make sure that you guys stay as one of the leaders in the
Mm-hmm.
industry? Like, how has that transition been in your 12 years?
It's a constantly evolving industry. What I've noticed most about it now, looking back at that time, is that it's a more well-known industry now. 12 years ago, no one, unless you were already in it, no one really knew exactly what it was.
Right.
Um, but now, especially with the use of social media, it's definitely more well-known. And the technology, of course, has advanced quite a bit. Like I said previously, I was originally applying for work on MySpace. So just through the job boards, especially even through social media, the group that you have is great. That the fact that these brand ambassadors can connect with each other, we didn't have that when I started.
Yeah.
So it's definitely evolving and becoming a lot more well known. Mm-hmm.
And one person asked, how important is completing my event recap to me being compensated with Big Orange?
Super important. Super important. Yeah, those recaps, that's what we submit back to our client. It shows this event's been completed. A lot of the information on the recap is really valuable information, sales data, consumer interactions, consumer comments. So yeah, those we definitely do need those. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What someone asked, what was your favorite event to work or to manage?
Oh my
Have a
goodness.
favorite? Or Big Orange, one that you headed at Big Orange that you just and loved and enjoyed being a part
um, there have been so many. One of my favorite events to ever work, just because of how unique it was about 3 or 4 years ago. We had the opportunity to work a private party at a celebrity's house in the Hamptons.
of? Wow.
This person was launching a new handbag, so they invited like all of their industry friends to come check out the handbag, and we were there for a major beverage brand
Mm-hmm.
providing beverages. So being in that setting is a lot different. It's not your average day just in a grocery store giving out samples. So that was a lot of fun.
That's good. And
Mm-hmm.
then, as far as myths and false pretenses that people have about working with not with Big Orange per se, but in your position as a manager of operations, and the fact that you transition and worked at every facet, brand ambassador, booking coordinator, you've seen a gamut of different things and have been able to experience things. So, what are some of the myths that you hear about, working in this industry and working in your position?
I don't know that there are any myths. If so, I don't know them, which maybe is a good thing. But maybe maybe the fact that just, reminding everyone that we are human. We're not robots who are just plugging you into events. That there is that connection there, especially since we don't get to personally meet everyone who works for us. So there's that. There's also the fact that a lot of us wear multiple hats and we're, running around doing a lot of different things at once.
Yeah, and that's one thing Joe talked about, because the myth that I hear is, oh, it's an easy job. Like I could be a booking coordinator and be successful at it because I've worked in the field. And Joe talked about that too, the fact that it's a transition from working in the field to now working in the office. So a lot of people think that it's easier because you've already worked in the field and you've experienced the field side of it.
It does help. I think having that background, booking people and managing people who did, what you did, I think it definitely helps to have that background. But I suppose perhaps maybe another myth is the hours that are involved in it.
Yeah.
A lot of our events, they're not happening 9 to 5 during the week. They're happening weeknights, weekends. Some of our events are starting at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. So when you are a booking agent, you have to be able to commit to those crazy hours because you have to be available for your staff.
But I guess the flip side would be for a booking coordinator in some cases is the stability, right? Like being able to be in one central place versus being in the field and traveling more.
For our booking agents are in our office, so they're not really out in the field very much. When opportunity presents itself, they might go out, but they are they're centrally located here.
Okay. So what do you foresee Big Orange in the future, maybe a year or two? What are the big picture goals for Big Orange?
We are taking it day by day. Like I said, we come in every morning and we just see what that day entails. There's no doubt in my mind that we'll change as the industry changes, and we'll just roll with it.
And what EXPs, brand ambassadors, people new to experiential marketing, they want to go ahead and get signed up with Big Orange. How can they do that? What is the process for them to go ahead and do so?
We have a talent portal. It's portal@bigorangeproductions.com. When you're on that portal, you can sign up right there. It's almost immediate where you'll start to receive notifications when we have work in your area, which hopefully we do. You can also visit our main website, which is bigorangeproductions.com, which will link you to the portal, and of course any of our social media accounts as well. I do have to stress that if you are interested in coming on board with us, it is a really great idea to check out our social media pages, because you can see pictures from our events and kind of get a feeling of what we do and if this is something you want to do. So I love to share that with everyone. And then again, just go straight to that portal to get started if you're interested.
And I'm going to add that website as well as the the actual social media tags in the comments as well for people to check out. What do they need? So we mentioned the portal. What do they need to go ahead to add into the portal to sign up for opportunities?
It's mostly just their information, their email address. It goes through all of those common questions. It gives you the opportunity to upload a resume. They do need a headshot, but it goes through that step by step. There's also a tutorial video on there, so you can even see before you even sign up. You can kind of see like the whole process too.
Okay, good. So a clean headshot of themselves,
yes,
of themselves. And a resume, which does not have to include experience yet in the industry, just experience, customer service, you would say, related experience?
We're not going to turn away any kind of experience. So
Okay.
if you're completely new to this, if you are, fresh out of school and you're interested, I would say just go ahead and sign up. Start looking at the events that we have available to see if it's anything that interests you, and we can just start a relationship from there.
Okay, good. Hey, okay, great information and great insight. So before I let you go, I always like to ask my pop-up interviewers, what's your hobbies? What do you do outside of sitting at the computer, booking and working and juggling 5 different jobs at one time? What do you like to do?
Well, I'm a mom to a 3-year-old, so that keeps me pretty busy. That's another full-time job. So just spending time with my family. I live on the coast, so we like to do a lot of coastal activities, boating, beaching, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'm glad to hear that you're not sitting at the office and working behind the computer because you have to have your personal time. So,
Maybe when we get closer to the holidays, but
yes, I hear that. Well, thank you for working through all the kinks today and for joining us today. I'm going to provide all of Big Orange's Productions website as well as social media outlets in the comments. If you have any other questions, feel free to post them and I'll work with Katie after the event to answer them. But just want to thank her for joining us today and providing huge insight into not only the world of Big Orange Productions, but just for individuals who are looking to begin a career as an EXP. So thank you, Katie, again.
thank you so
For
much. And
taking the
hopefully,
time.
I'm looking forward to hopefully working with a lot of new people as well.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you'll get some new signups after today. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.